G'day guys, Mackie with the Outer Circle, and this is just a quick bonus video. We haven't put out enough videos this week, so this will catch us up a little bit. Kat and I are planning on a full-length weekly Scrub Down episode to go up later today, like maybe 10 hours from now, give or take, by the time we've recorded, edited, uploaded. Now, that said, this whole episode, as short as it is all spoilers, 100% spoilers, just spoilers everywhere. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would suggest not going to see it. And if you're going to see it, then don't watch this episode. Because I'll probably talk about things that are spoiled all throughout. So, you know, I'm just telling you right up front. Okay, how the fuck do I feel about this movie? This is a piece of shit. Now, I'm not saying it's shit on a technical level. The special effects are great, the sets are great, costumes are great, all that kind of thing. Where it falters is in the script, the editing, the pacing, the tone. So, you know, all the crucial bits, really. Because there's a suspension of disbelief of what I'll accept. I'm fine with puppets and that kind of thing. But damn, this film just gets so much wrong. Just the tone is all over the shop from the very first scenes. From the point where Poe Dameron's fighter rocks up in front of a Star Destroyer at the very start, it's supposed to be this intense moment where the tension's building up. It's just immediately undercut by having him wisecracking over the PA system. My brain hurts thinking about it. The whole Luke being a hermit and that kind of thing, that's fine. That's totally fine. You just go down that road, you know, go down that route, do what you want with it. That's not the failings of this film. This film falters on just basic things. Like, the action sequences, there's plenty of them, but they don't feel right. There's a lot of the cartoonish jumping up and down from things and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I got nothing positive to say about them. They're well shot, I guess. That's something. I need to break this down a different way, I think. Okay, let's think back to the original Star Wars films, the first trilogy, that golden standard that nobody's been able to achieve since then. I'm pretty sure that people in Hollywood do not have a fucking clue why we like those films. I can watch Empire Strikes Back any day of the week and I love it. I feel the tension for the characters. I feel upset when they're hurt. You know, the whole Vader-Luke thing and Luke just screaming and wanting to kill himself. That's what he is. It's accepting defeat, and he throws himself to what he presumes will be his death in Cloud City. That's gut-wrenching stuff. And the Han Leia love plot, it's grown over 2 films, and, you know, you can tell just from the way they interact with one another at the start that there's more there. They don't just try and force it all at once. This film is the opposite of that. They force love stories. The Asian Sheila and Finn, I don't even know her name. So her and Finn, you know, he's about to blow up, suicide and blow up this miniature Death Star gun that they just have. The First Order just has. And as he's about to blow it up, she swerves in from the side. Even though he's been full straight ahead accelerating that whole time, somehow she's not only turned her round when she was way behind him, done a 180 turn, caught all the way up to him, gone past him, then circled back and then rammed him out of the way. None of that makes sense. That's fucking retarded. Like, Star Wars, the action was grounded in reality. Yes, fantastical things happened in the scale of the Force, but even then, it was still pretty damn fucking grounded. Almost as if these events could be happening right here and now on Earth. And things like Uncanny Valley, CGI Carrie Fisher floating in space, pulling herself back towards a ship. That's... fuck, this movie's bad. It's the tone. The tone's the worst part of it. I can live with a lot of the action sequences, but it's so back and forth on tone, the way they go to this gambling planet, and then there's kids There's fucking kids just shoehorned into it. Do they need to be kids? No, but they're saying, oh, slavery's bad. But look, you little Billy, you can be a little kid here. Look, that could be you. And one day you'll grow up to join the rebellion and be a resistance fighter. And your broom is your lightsaber. Fuck off! Did it help the plot? Then why is it there? If it's not a part of the fucking movie, like... Something bad that these films do is they also... they treat you like you're dumb. You see, when Luke had visions of what was happening in Cloud City, right? He's handstanding upside down on Dagobah, and he's saying, Han, Leia, and he's thinking about the torture they're suffering on Cloud City in his vision. We're not shown it. Now, for some reason, whenever anyone has a vision, we're seeing everything happen. And that takes me out of it. Because you're not using your imagination, you're just being shown bluntly, here's someone's vision. Here's what they're seeing. It's like, you don't need to do any of that. And they're constantly throwing in references to older films and that kind of thing. And there's plot holes galore. Just even little things like Finn and that Asian bird go to get executed. And her character is great up until like the very end of the movie. Then her character just gave me the shits. But they're going to get executed, and they're in this bloody main landing deck on the Super Star Destroyer, surrounded by thousands and thousands of Hux's troops, ready to watch the execution. Then the Star Destroyer gets rammed, don't ask why, and all of a sudden, the whole place is empty except for Phasma and a goon squad, and they're in a completely different point to what they were 30 seconds earlier. How the fuck did they get there? What are they doing there? I don't know. The movie didn't show me. It's just... Oh, because it hit, all of a sudden, that whole hangar was just cleared of all the troops in it. Even though it would take, I'm assuming, a lot of fucking time to move like 30,000 troops through a couple of doorways. Even at full running speed, it's going to take time. And then what was Phasma doing in a completely different spot? That didn't make sense. And why is Finn now fighting Phasma? Finn's an unskilled person. When he starts the movie having just come out of the coma after his fight with Kylo Ren, he's unskilled. He's a janitor. He's not a fucking warrior when he's taking on Phasma. Like, fuck my brain. The Porgs. Porgs are fine. Porgs are fine. That's good. They're cute. That's nice. It's a thing, I guess. It's trying to relive a lot of nostalgia, like, you're scum. No, I'm rebel scum. Oh, come on, it's not a 1960s James Bond film. Like, fuck. That was like a look at the audience and eye wink fucking moment. That was an Expendables moment. The yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I can feel the blood vessels in my head throbbing in my temples, behind my eyeballs as I discuss this. It got Star Wars so wrong. It's like a corporation, Disney, is sitting there with their executives, and they're all sitting in a circle, and they're like, well, we think kids like AT-AT walkers, so let's make new, bigger AT-AT walkers. It's like, no, AT-AT walkers are cool because the story made them cool, it was around them, and the concept of them was neat at the time. The story led to that, and it made it all work, and it made sense in Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't make sense here. It's like, okay, you've got that massive Imperial fleet, and this is all you're going to deploy to the ground. And you don't think that Rebel cruiser that just shot through the fucking side of your Star Destroyer isn't going to cause problems? Also, how come ship's shields just do nothing now? I mean, apart from the whole plot line of their main Rebel cruiser just being shot repeatedly by Star Destroyers in the shields, but the fighters, they just cruise in and shoot the bridge out on the ship. If it's that fucking easy, why didn't that happen at the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi? The Empire could have just gone, oh yeah, well quick, send a few fighters in and blow up Home One's bridge. No more Admiral Akbar. No, it didn't happen. And even killing the Star Destroyers, when the Super Star Destroyer goes down at the Battle of Endor, that's 1 in a million that an A-Wing crashed through the armoured windows and directly into the bridge, and that was only after the shields had been taken down. Like, a lot of things had to happen in order for that to play out, that scenario. But here it just happens, because we need the plot to move forward. And then they're like, oh, all the rebel leaders were killed. What do you mean all the rebel leaders? What, every single rebellion leader was all in the bridge at that one time? The unshielded bridge. Well, that's just fucking stupid. Like, don't they have a meeting room or a briefing area, a ward room like warships have? Like, you go and look at a modern Earth military warship. Yeah, you got that big bridge up top, the wheelhouse and all that. But shit's happening below there. There's an actual operations room where everything's actually controlled from, like weaponry and communications, that kind of thing. Why the fuck is it all happening on the bridge in this ship? And the bridge is tiny. And then there was another bridge that they go to later on for the rest of the movie. So apparently this ship has multiple of these like small little bridges. But yeah, it's technically faulty, this film. Technically flawed in that regard. Fuck, what else give me the shits? I already spoke about the ghost of Carrie Fisher going through space. Fuck, what else? I'm fine with the Luke plot. The whole him sending a Force ghost to fight Kylo Ren is just retarded. So bad. Like, I'd have been fine with Luke just passing away on the rock. I'd have been fine with Carrie Fisher just dying in space rather than, you know... Alright, here's one. Poe Dameron's change of character. Starts out as this cocky pilot, and they're like, oh, you blew up a dreadnought, but you wasted all our bombers. Like, those bombers were bad, and they deserved to be destroyed. I'm sorry, but when you had, like, B-Wings and actual effective shit in, like, the Return of the Jedi, and that was when you adjust a rebellion with zero resources behind you, and now it's like, oh, here's our fucking, what do you call it? They're not even bombers. They're like small cruisers or something. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like they tried to put World War II bombers into the Star Wars setting. But what would have been more thematic is like modified B-Wings or Y-Wings, something like that existed, and making a new version of that. These things were like halfway between a B-Wing and a blockade runner. They're just big, ponderous. They have like no shield. They're just the biggest sitting target. And for some reason, the ships around them, the big fucking Star Destroyers, could not hit them. But the fleeing transports thousands of kilometers away from the Star Destroyers at the end of the film are getting picked off with ease. What the fuck? It's one or the other. Is it what? These big ponderous bombers at close range just can't be hit. Oh, but those ships that are kilometers away in the distance, yeah, that's a fucking layup. I got this. Oh man, this movie's so bad. They don't get what we like about Star Wars. The Death Star attack in the original film is tense because it's a small squadron of fighters versus a small squadron of enemy fighters. And it's a race against the clock. That's great. Great tension. Easy. Now, it's all about fitting as much shit on the screen as they can. Look at the X-Wing zooming around the Star Destroyer, and he's blowing up turrets here and turrets there, and... Oh, look. It doesn't make sense, though, in the scheme of the story. It's like, well, if your ships can do that, how are these big Star Destroyers any kind of an actual threat? If one starfighter can just, at a whim, just blow up all your turrets like that. And also, where did the First Order get all these ships from? Like, okay, I can imagine them building like Star Destroyers and that kind of thing in secret. I've got the Star Wars cross-sections book for The Force Awakens. It talks about how they only have a handful of Star Destroyers total because it's just so expensive and they've got to sneak around to make them, and nobody wants to help them out, so they've got to do a lot of under-the-table deals. And yet they rock up with something that's like 4 times the size of Vader's Super Star Destroyer. It's like, how many resources did that fucking thing take up? Let alone the Starkiller base, which was destroyed. And when the Starkiller base was destroyed, didn't they have all their fucking military forces on it? But somehow they've taken over the galaxy with what they had left. And the Republic, like, I get the Republic's key core worlds were blown up in The Force Awakens. If someone came into any country on Earth and blew up the capital, would that country just be completely collapsed overnight? Like, let's use some real-world logic here. I understand it's a fucking fantasy, but just a tiny smidgen of real logic. If a real fucking country had its capital blown up, The military is not all located on that capital. Sure, there'll be some troops there, and they'll all die. But then everyone that's left is going to fight the fuck back, aren't they? And that was the whole thing with like mutually assured destruction in the 50s and 60s. It's like the Soviets, the Americans, and the Cold War. It's like, yeah, you can nuke the fuck out of Russia, but they're going to nuke you right the fuck back. And it's like, okay, in Star Wars, the First Order just blew up the core planets of the Republic. That's great. The Republic spans a galaxy. Like the whole fucking galaxy. Galaxies are a big place with a lot of planets. All those people in the Republic are going to be mortified at what you've just done, and they're just going to contribute all their resources, military forces, to stopping you from doing that again. So the whole plot just makes no fucking sense that the First Order just has them completely on the run. And it's like it kicks off exactly where the last film ended, and they're evacuating their little world that the Resistance is on. But it's like, okay, so hang on. The First Order have not only lost their Starkiller base, but they've also reorganised all their forces, brought them together, and launched a strike, and gone all the way to the Rebellion stronghold world in that brief window that it's taken to get back to there. Like, for the rebels to basically return from Starkiller to that planet. This First Order's just on their heels straight away. It's just, none of that makes sense. You see, it worked in the first Star Wars films, because in A New Hope, yeah, they blew up the Death Star. But that was one space station, and the Empire literally controlled the whole galaxy. It makes sense they'd have the forces to throw at the rebels. And it made sense the rebels were on the run. This time out, it doesn't. And then there's this whole, the ticking clock in the movie. We're going to run out of fuel, we're going to run out of fuel. And cloaking, and things like that. What cloaking? That's not how cloaking works in Star Wars. Has anyone ever read any of, like, the technical manuals or anything like that? Like, cloaking is not, you launch your ship from hyperspace into the system at point-blank range to a fucking Star Destroyer, and then press a button, and you're like, oh, well, now we've pressed a button, they can't see us on their sensors. We're physically, visibly here, but they won't see us. It's like, anyone can look out the fucking window and see you. That's not cloaking. Oh, my fucking brain. You know what? There's going to be a ton of videos like this out there that are all saying how either good or shit this movie is. I'll leave it up to you to decide. Go see it. Pick whether you like it or not. But this movie is just flawed on so many levels. It has some genuinely brilliant concepts in there. Some great ideas. But they throw it all under the bus for the sake of what they think is a great story, and what I think the rest of us would agree is not so great a story. They are more interested in the whole selling of toys and that kind of thing. I mean, Star Wars has always been about selling toys. But at the same time, they didn't just shoehorn a scene in with, like, little kids using a broomstick as a lightsaber at the end of the movie, and the little kids got the Force and stuff like that, and they haven't even fixed Rey as a character. It's a little bit better than The Force Awakens, but she's still a goddamn Mary Sue. Still got no training. Still great with a lightsaber. But yeah, her only training she does with Luke is one time she tries to feel the Force. That's it. Whoop-de-fucking-doo. Whoop-de-fucking-doo. I hate this movie. I dislike this more than Rogue One, and I thought I despised Rogue One. This movie would be a 3 or 4 out of 10 for me, if I had to rate it. Because whilst it succeeds on a visual spectacle level, it fails everywhere else. Even the way the music's chosen and cuts in at certain times, it's epileptic. There is no rhyme or reason to this film. The cutting and the editing is all over the shop, and I think there's a really good movie hidden in here if someone completely re-edits it. Just take all that footage that was originally shot for this film, put it back together and re-edit it, you'll get something great. But right now, this is the worst movie I have seen this year. I didn't see Justice League, for those that were wondering, so that could be worse, but And to put one point on it, I didn't like The Force Awakens either. My main problems, though, were with Rey as a character, not just the whole rehash of the original trilogy stories, but yeah, wow, I had good hopes for this because I really like Rian Johnson as a director. I think he does great work. I loved Looper and some of his other work. He's kind of like Neil Blomkamp. You know, everyone's like, oh, Looper was a great movie. No one ever talks about like his other ones. And same with like Neil Blomkamp. Everyone's like, oh, District 9's a great movie. What about Chappie? What? No? What Chappie? Never heard of it. I actually really liked Elysium, though. Neil Blomkamp's done some good films. I'd have loved to have seen his take on Alien. Anyway, I'm back with the Outer Circle. Leave all the hate in the comments below, because it's gonna come. It's Star Wars, and I'm shitting on it, right? Yeah. Fuck this movie.